Hello, this is Adana, and this video is dedicated to a review on Green Witchcraft, Folk Magic, Fairy Lore, and Herbcraft by Moura. Aoumiel, I think she calls herself, and I believe I'm pronouncing that right, but I might be wrong. I came in with very high hopes for this book, and it turns out it wasn't exactly what I was expecting. There's a lot of really interesting research. She did a lot of research about the Aryan tribes, which is not to be confused with the German whole Hitler thing. It's because I know they use the phrase Aryan, but actually Aryan were tribes of people long time ago. And she actually she did her research and tracked them through. Now I don't know if her research is actually 100% accurate because I haven't done any research on that. I just know what she said in her book. If it is true, it's really interesting. And it just shows how groups of people have their own separate religions and beliefs and traditions, and how as they migrated and moved around and blended with other cultures, that they actually spread that and took ideas from this and this and this and this, and that's how you get the current little tradition that they have over there. And she touches on Druidism and things like that, which was really neat. I really loved reading that part of it. Her language, though, is not very... For someone who's not a heavy reader, I think they might have a problem with it. Just because it sounds more like a research article than it does, you know, like a fictional book that's easy to get through and you understand and everything like that. I didn't really have a problem with it. And not to be insulting or anything, but I have a pretty decent vocabulary, so I never had to stop and look anything up or anything. But for someone who didn't get bored and look through the dictionary when they were a teenager because they had nothing else to do, might have a little bit of a problem. At least keep a basic dictionary or, you know, like Google at your side so you can look stuff up really quick or reference things. Other than that, she claims to be a hereditary witch and says that she learned everything from her mother, but her mother and grandmother were very devout Catholics, and so they did things in their family that was kind of Catholic related but pagan as well, like a blend between the two, and that's all fine and everything, but she just harps on about it like a lot, almost to the point where you get the feeling that she kind of, because she was a hereditary witcher, so she says that she thinks that, I don't know, it's better. She doesn't exactly say it. I don't know, that was my interpretation on it. And she's also very extremely defensive about anyone who comes up with on the topic of hereditary witches. There's a lot of paragraphs where, to me, it felt like it read like it was more of a rant than anything else, and just very defensive about it. And she goes in and she attacks Gardner a lot, and not just Gardner, but his general tradition. And I just think that's a little bit unnecessary. If you don't like it, then fine. If you don't agree with it, then fine. But it kind of seemed like she used a lot of her book as a platform to complain about the things she didn't like about other traditions, rather than exploring more about her own tradition. She does give samples of rituals and things like that, and she does give basic information, because this book's supposed to be a guide for people who are new to the craft, and that's one of the reasons I got it, because I like looking through, you know, these new guides. I don't really need them, I just like different perspectives, really. Every now and then I come across a way of looking at something that I hadn't considered before, and then I can incorporate it. But she just kind of spouts information that you can find anywhere else, in any other book on the internet. And I don't know if it was in her book first, or if the, you know, but it seemed like half the book was just spouting stuff, generalized things that were impersonal and not really relevant to anything, really. Just stuff you can get anywhere else, and that was kind of disappointing. I was really disappointed with that. There are some good things in here. She uses a couple phrases that I really like. I don't know where it is, but she says something as part of her rituals, and a lot of her rituals, she didn't divide them up the way I would have. She, in order to make the book longer, I think, in the ritual section, she just repeats half of her ritual each and every time, word for word. That's what it feels like, or seems like. But it's, let me see. You know, the casting the quarters, the purification, opening sacred space. She does that over and over again, word for each ritual. And there is a ritual for every Sabbath, and there's a separate ritual for dedication, and a separate ritual for all of the, what do you call those? Hand fastings and crossing over those. But where is it? Let me see, maybe it's at the end of this one. I had it written down and I lost the paper. I had all this stuff, like, very neat on a piece of paper, listed out what I wanted to go over. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in here. Oh, here it is. Love is the law and love is the bond. Mary did I meet, Mary do I part, and Mary will I meet again. Mary meet, Mary part, and Mary meet again. The circle's now cleared, so let it be. I like that. Love is the law and love is the bond. I never really used the phrase, I never really considered the phrase, but I really like that. So I think I'm going to be using that as part of my ritual. So that was another good part that I really liked about the book. But a lot of it is just fluff. And it says that it's supposed to go over folk magic and fairy lore, and it really doesn't. There's a couple instances in there, but she doesn't really go in depth. She built a whole book around it, but I didn't really find it. There wasn't enough in there to make a book about that. I think that the focus should have been on something else, because it shouldn't have been named after folk magic and fairy lore, because there was hardly anything about those subjects in there. Just because it mentions those doesn't mean you should make a book and then call it and name it after that. That bothered me. So it was a good read, I suppose. You know, any book you read on the craft really is good. Just because you can compare and contrast and absorb information in different aspects. But I would not call this a beginner's guide. On the back it says a true beginner's guide to the old religion. I don't know if you can see that. I would not call this a good beginner's guide. It does not go into the meaning of circles. It does not go into why you cast a circle. It doesn't go into any of the basic stuff that you would normally have in a beginner's book. It just gives you instructions how to do it, not really why, or the meaning of it. So I wouldn't give this to a person just starting out. I would give this to someone who's been in the craft for a while and they're just looking at different styles and different ways to incorporate things and thinking outside the box a little bit. So that is my book review for Green Witchcraft, Folk Magic, and Fairy Lore and Herbcraft by Moura or Aoumiel. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to leave your comments, and if you've read the book, come on, we can talk about this, make a video. I don't even care if it's a year from now. Make a video, make a reply. If you disagree with anything, let's have a conversation. So, thank you.